So from here, I wanted to do a quick review because I know we didn't really get to do last class. We didn't get to go over the clipped form on page 304, which we're about to get into real quickly, and then from there we'll get into a little few other things, and then I want to at least give you all a before the end of the class, a preview of the Hitpa El Binyan. So let's start here on page 304, dealing with the clipped form. All right, so this, of course, is the Hifil Binyan. So when it's referring to a clip form, of course, as you all know, that is when you have your reversing wow at play. So over here you have your verb roots, you have your future tense or your imperfect form. This is when you have, of course, your yod in between your second and third letter of your verb root, and that yod is what is being removed. When they refer to this as a clipped form, they refer to this as a clipped form because that yod is dropping off. Everything else is staying the same, as you can see. Like, let's just compare the first few. Over here we have yabi. Over here, wayabe. You all right? You see the yod is not there. The second one, yolid. The second one, wayoled. Once again, the yod is not there. Yotzi, clip form, wayotse. Same thing. And that is what you will notice with all of them. All right. Now this one is a little bit different because you have a hey as the last letter, so the hey is dropping off instead of there being a yod there, because it's, this is a different verb. That's how it works. This is another one we're going to get into as well. As you can see, this verb root starts with a noon, and noons drop off. So we're going to get to that one. And this was one of the questions in the homework, actually, and you all, especially the ones that aced it, you already know what this is about. So, but that's what you notice through this entire clip form. It's essentially just how the reversing wow works in the Hifil Binyan. You all are already familiar with the reversing wow and how it works. So it's just a matter of identifying it now in the Hifil Binyan. So definitely just give that a look over, but it is not something that I'm sure at you all's level, that you're not able to recognize, you can get it. Okay, because in all the other forms, whether it's the PL, whether it's the Pa'al, the Pa'al does kind of have a semi-drop form, clip form. When you think about some of the verbs that end in hey, right? Like some of the verbs, and certain letters drop off when that reversing wow comes into play, but um, certain different binyanim work different. Like the PL, it doesn't work like that. It's just kind of standard for the PL, but for the Hifil, you do have to account for this. And then for the whatever you all are already familiar with in the Pa'al as well. All right. So flipping the page real quickly, I also wanted to go to slight review on this right here. We have going over these few verbs: shub, kon, kum, and hitfa'el. All of these, of course, being hollow verbs, as they would say, because the middle letter, as you can see, all of them have wow. That middle letter drops out in most cases, as it will in the Pa'al, it definitely does, and in most cases in the other forms it does as well. So here you have the paradigm for all of them. Um, this is written in the one form that I told you all how for the hollow verbs, there's two different ways that you can say them. This being the other way, which is hashiboti, hashibota, hashibot. And then you have here hashib, hashiba, hashibonu, hashibotem. But the thing is, this is the one way that it can be said. It also could be said uh, heshab, right? Or hepam, right? It doesn't have to be said like this. There's another way that you could say it. But, you know, just one thing you want to remember. I know we did already go over those two different ways you can say these hollow verbs. Do you all recall? So there. All right. And then real quickly as well, looking at this irregular verb as well, naka. All right. We have the noon that drops off. So even as you can see over here in the perfect tense, the noon has dropped off. So, and this is no different than all the other verbs. Like we have, what was it, nagad, which becomes he god, right, to tell, right? That was in one of the uh, questions that you all had. So the same kind of thing where the noon is the first letter and how that works. But the thing that makes this one extra irregular is that it also has a he. So, you have both of those things, both of those grammar rules working at the same time. So that's why you see here in the perfect tense, uh, hiketi, hiketa, where literally the only way you're able to identify this by this noun is that kaf, and then just knowing the grammar rules of everything else that really should be there that would make it, make you know what the show rash is, So you gotta be able to put all those things together to recognize the verb roots sometimes. Um, so just going through, hikita, or yeah, hikita, hikit, hika, hikta, hikinu, hikitem, hikiten, hiku. All right. This is your verb that's dealing with hitting or plaguing, something of that nature. You have your imperfect tense. All right. Uh, ake, take, taki, yake, take, nake, taku, takena, your rare second person plural form for the feminine, and yaku, your third person. And then, of course, the present tense you guys are already familiar with. Make, maka, makim, and makot. All right. And then these other forms, hak, haku for your command, haki as well for your feminine first person or second person sika. And then you have lehakot for your infinitive. Of course, you guys that got the ace, you already know what this is about. This was the last question in the homework. All right. So definitely just one to be familiar with because it does have both the noon and the hey, those grammar rules at play. All right. So let's go on ahead and move on. Let's see here. Hmm. Really? Oh boy. Well, I don't want to go over that right now. We'll come back to that. I do want to get into this. All right. Oh well, this one does the NIFAL first. Okay, cool. We'll do the NIFAL then. Let's go to chapter 28. Let's do the NIFAL first, and then we'll get to the hit pile. All right, so the nifal. This is chapter 28 on page 330. The nifal is essentially the passive version of the pa'al. Pa'al being your simple active, the nifal being your simple passive. So essentially, the verb, where in the pa'al, the subject is doing the action with the pa'al, but with the nifal, the subject is on the receiving end of the action. All right, so an example I'll use, you have the verb shamar, of course, right? Meaning he guarded. If I were to say nishmar, I now just said he was guarded. All right, the subject becomes the the recipient of the verb, the recipient of the action, as opposed to the pa'al, where the subject is the one doing the action. All right, so let's go on ahead and jump into this. Let's see here what they're talking about. Yeah, just all right. So this is a good chart to just kind of compare. This is on page 332. Just going through the nifal pattern. It compares here some verbs in the pa'al and the nifal and their meaning. So we have here the verb amar, meaning say, the pa'al. In the nifal, it means to be said. Right? Here you have asaf, meaning gather. In the nifal, to be gathered. Right? Bana, to build, to be built. All right, so you kind of get the point, right? Let me see if there's one that's irregular. All right. Okay, so well, let me say this one. Shama, right? The pa'al means to hear. Nishma, right? And the nifal, be heard. So, one way to say how are you or what's up, one way to say that in Hebrew is manishma, which when you break it down, using the etymology, it essentially means what has been heard. Like kind of like a way of saying what's new or what's up, like what has been heard, like, what's the new thing on the street kind of thing. It's kind of their way, is how it would break down using the etymology, ma nishma, what has been heard. So just like saying ma chadash, right? What's new, literally, what is new. All right, and then of course you have shamar here, which is the example I already used. So that is how you understand the nifal binyan. All right, in that kind of sense, in the passive sense, being on the receiving end. So let's look at our past tense and see how this binyan goes. So of course, as you all, let me just pause quickly. As you all know, how these binyanim kind of work is that the name of the binyan pretty much gives you an idea of what the phonetics of the binyan is going to be. So when we were dealing with the hifil, for example, you are now familiar with that. That's why there's a hey attached to the beginning of the verb. That's why there's a yod in between the second and the third letter. With the nifal, you can already assume there's going to be a noon as a prefix of your verb. All right, so that's kind of how you get the basic gist of how they get their name. Why is this binyan called this way? It's because it's literally showing you how it branches off with the shoresh. All right, so looking here at the past tense, we have literally just the exact same, just like nif'al, we have here nishmar. All right, so that is how this binyan works in the past tense. So nishmarti, nishmarta, nishmaret, right? So all these suffixes, of course, you're already familiar with. It's really just the prefix that you have to, adjust for. Nishmar, your third person singular. Nishmera, third person feminine. Nishmarnu, Nishmartim, Nishmartin, and then Nishmeru. All right, your third person plural. So literally, it's the same general, paradigm that you're used to with how verbs are pronounced. You're just now adjusting slightly for the different binyan, for the different voice that you are trying to use and account for. You know, so it, at this point, I'm sure you all are probably, kind of thinking like, wow, it's really just that slight of a change. Like, yeah, it really is. Well, my mind really wrapped around it that it's just a slight adjustment that you have to account for, and you're in, a whole other vineyard. It's like, okay, it's not really that bad. I mean, they all have their unique characteristics that let you know you're in this binyan, you're in that binyan, but you know, holistically, I mean, it's not that much different. So, definitely you have there, once again, your past tense. So let's keep going to our future tense, our imperfect. So I know I just got done saying all that, right? And now I'm going to say this. The Nifal future tense is probably one of the more confusing ones. And I say that because all of the other ones, if you go back and you look at them, they generally have two what's the word I'm looking for? Sleep my mind. Um, two syllables. Two syllables. All right, is what most of your future tense binyanim had. The various binyanim would have been. Some of them, of course, might have three, but for the nifal, it is always three, and it has this rhythm to it. All right, so as you can see, your first letter, your signal letter for your first person, has the E class vowel, the three dots. Then you have an A class vowel under the first letter of your verb group. Then you have the two dots on the second letter. All right, so you have all that you have to account for. So how this is pronounced is eshamir, eshamir, right? So you have three different, vowels being used where other binyanim in their future tense, it's not this different. It's so this one is, a little unique in that regard. All right. The next one, Tishamir, Tishamri, Yishamir, Tishamir, Nishamir, Tishamru, Tishamarna, your rare form, and then Yishamru. All right. So this one definitely take some time on with the future tense because it can be a little confusing. I mean, even myself from time to time, I gotta go back and check myself on this one because it can be a little confusing. I ain't going for it, but definitely put that one into the repertoire. This one is a very important one. Now, now granted, this book does not, as you all know, cover every binyan. It leaves off the pual and the hofal. And because those two in conversation are very rarely used, not to say that they're not important, and not to say they're not used because they are. You'll see a lot of nouns branching off of the pual verb stem, right? Yeah, you have, like you all have already been accustomed to a variety of nouns that branch off of different binyan stems, right? The pual binyan stem, there's plenty of nouns that branch off it, but not many people use the pual stem, all right, in conversation by itself as a verb. You know what I mean? So, um, That's generally why it's not talked about as much. Um, of course, I'm sure there's resources out there that if you wanted a breakdown style like this book is kind of giving you on those few forms, I'm sure those resources are out there. And if you come across it, send it my way, literally, because I don't have one. You know, um, and there is even stems that some of you all have come to me before about stems that aren't in the traditional seven stems, right? Like that are but they're used in the Torah, like the hit polel, and other forms as well, the hishtafel, so you do have other binyan stems that are not, um, they're pretty much borrowed stems from other Shemitic languages that are used in the Torah, and that are not in your traditional seven, but it's hard to get resources that actually break those down like this. But if any of y'all come across it, please send it my way. You know I ain't got no problem buying the stuff here. All right. So we went over our past tense, we went over our future tense. Let's jump into our present. We have here our masculine singular, nishmar. Nishmar. This is, of course, comparing it to your other binyanim, the PL on up, PL, FL. You have the mem to identify present tense. For the Pa'al, you had the wow in between the second and third, or in between on the first and second letter, or second and third, depending if you're doing active or passive. But nonetheless, you have a wow. This one is the only one that uses a noon to identify present tense. So, of course, you have Ishmar, which kind of looks like your Nishmar over here for your past tense with context in conversation or in the narrative of the story will let you know if somebody's referring to somebody is going, like, or if person or not going. This is referring to being guarded. If somebody is currently like being guarded, or it's referring to something past, it's like he was guarded. You know what I mean? So generally, how you'll know the difference when you see something in the present tense and a verb is being used, the subject is generally identified separately, right? So even if you're talking about somebody in the third person, if I was saying somebody is being guarded, I would say hu nishmar. He is being guarded, right? But if I was saying it, trying to say it in the past tense, I could just say nishmar, which would be me saying he was guarded. So it's all depending on how you want to say it. But generally, when you're trying to say it in the present tense, like to give you that context essentially of how you would differentiate between the two, is that when it's past tense, the subject doesn't have to be identified because it's already within the conjugation. But in your present tense, you want to identify that subject, so that, that's just generally how it is in conversation and what have you. So just take that note. Continuing through, we have Ishmeret, your feminine singular. And we have Nishmarim, your masculine plural. And then we have Nishmarot, your feminine plural. All right, so your noons, once again, identifying your present tense in this binyan. Let's look at our command forms. We have here Hishamir. Hishamir branching off from Yishamir. Or actually, it could be branching off from Tishamir, actually, because this is your command form. So this would be like you are commanding a male. So Tishamir, your second person masculine. The Tau, changing to a hey. Tishamer becoming Hishamer. You commanding somebody because, Hebraically, the Hebrew language is very straightforward. So if you're already saying something in the second person future tense, it, to the English mind, it sounds like you're commanding somebody already. Because, saying Tishamer, you will be guarded or you will be kept, it's already going to sound like you're commanding something to take place, to somebody who, thinks with an English frame of mind, as we all were born and raised to. But, Hebraically, you do have a different form to differentiate between that, the future tense, and then your command form, as you see between this and this down here. So it's just a slight change from a tau to your hey. All right, same vowels, but that change in the oat. All right, your next one here, Hishamri. Hishamri, branching off from Tishamri. Once again, your second person, only now this is feminine. So Hishamri would be if you were commanding a female in the second person. All right, Hishamri from Tishamri. And then you have over here Hishamru, your plural, branching off from Tishamru. The tau still once again changed to the hey, Tishamru becoming Hishamru. Then you have Hishamarna, becoming from Tishamarna, that being the rare form, but the feminine plural form. It's a rare form that's used, but still important to be able to recognize, at least, even if you don't plan on using it in conversation. I would say it's at least being important to be able to recognize in text, because it is used in the Torah. Rarely, but it's used. I've seen it used throughout the Torah. It's not. It's but in conversation, it's not something that you hear as often. But either way. So we have those. Going on to our infinitives. So let's look here at our regular infinitive. Here we have Hishamir. All right, so this literally is just like your command form, Hishamir. All right, and one thing that also takes place is that in the infinitive form, you'll notice in Binyanim after PL, they all use the hifil, or that's like they all use the hey. Even in your hitpael, it's lehit, and then it would be the verb. All right, lehit. So even in the hifil, it was leha. All right. So now in this one, it's lehi. All right. That is how your infinitive is going to be for any verb you use. Right. Right here, it's lehi shamer. But it could be any verb in the nifal that you're trying to say in the nifal infinitive, and it would be lehi. All right, that is just how that works. But you can also think of it as branching off from that command form as well. And then you still have also your emphasis form, nishmor. All right, generally your emphasis form. In the pa'al, it took the A and the O vowel, A-O. Here, it's taking the I-O vowel. So, quite similar to your pa'al. Of course, it's nifal, so it has its own slight variation, but you still have that O vowel as the second vowel for both. All right. So, and that emphasis form, once again, it's like you wanting to say something like surely or must, something along the line like surely or must, along those lines, in order to use that emphasis form. All right. So that is the nifal. There are other things in this chapter that we need to go over, but we will save that for the next class. I'm gonna actually let you all chew on that bit for now. Um, for those of you all who want to go ahead, for before next class, I'm gonna just tell you what we're gonna go over, which is, as you can see on page 334, which says the Nifal transformer verbs, which is essentially your verbs that have yod as the first letter. All right, so in those, it kind of works like the Hifil when you think about it. The Hifil, the verbs that had yod, the yod dropped off and it becomes hey, wow with the o vowel, right? Ho, right? Um, in the Nifal, the yod drops off and it becomes now a noon with a wow and the o vowel. So now it becomes no, right? So it would kind of work, the grammar rule is kind of similar when you think about it. So if you want to go ahead and look at that, that's on page 334. We are going to stop there for today. I hope today was a good class and that you all got something out of it. Definitely proud of you all for doing great on that assignment. Definitely, yeah, I just don't know what to say. I don't really have the words because I know that you all have been putting in the time and really putting the effort to learn this language. And we've been together in this class and just building as brothers for quite a while. And it's definitely a pleasure to see you all getting deep into this language and strides that you all are making in your reading and your comprehension and all of that. So definitely, man, everybody keep it up. Um, the summer has just begun. Uh, you said, yo, cheaters. Oh, man. Y'all too, man. Hey. Oh, yeah, I still need you to come through to my Makane sometime this summer, man. You here in Charlotte, man. You come on through. Yeah, man. All right, now, well, definitely, man. You all have a good. Oh, yeah, definitely. Right, right. Definitely, man. Torah about for that. Yeah, man, that was a great idea. Definitely, taking that on is great, and I support it. More people that can get exposed to information and willing to learn, trying to learn. Definitely, man. All praise be to the Creator. Hallelujah. Anybody else got anything they would like to say before we close out? Hey, definitely. Yeah, I think it is time for a review on that. That would be good. Definitely, man. Shalom. Mm-hmm. Mm, right, right. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow's actually the last day of the school year. That's the- Yeah, I mean, I'll be we'll be able to have classes probably for the next 2 weeks. Um, because yeah, I'm getting ready for a trip. Oh yeah, more anytime. Yeah, yeah, we could definitely try to do something like that. I mean, we could try to. I would say we could try to incorporate that for one into the reading exercise. Maybe we could even start making that a weekly homework for the Yom Rishon class. I know generally we do a weekly homework for the Yom Kamishi class, but the Yom Rishon class, whatever we're gonna read, people try to at least parse the verbs out to the best of their ability, and we all come to the table and we could go through it, and that could be good, and definitely learning a vocabulary, you know is limitless. So definitely, we could try to do something like that. Definitely, I appreciate the ideas. Definitely, you all know. I mean, I've tried to the best of my ability incorporate everybody's ideas that have been brought to the table to make this class more beneficial for you all. Going throughout it. So definitely keep them coming. That's a good idea, and we could definitely do that for this Yom Rishon class. Really coming up, starting. We can start off in Bereshit Perek. Yep. Anybody else got anything they would like to say? Shalom. Mm. Yeah, this one right here, best place. Can right, definitely. Can definitely, definitely. Maury Aton actually just said he's gonna post a link. Where I got it, and where I'm sure mostly everybody here got it was off of Amazon. Um, when I got mine, it was probably maybe $28, closer maybe 25 to $30, somewhere around there. But definitely off Amazon. Uh, and for what you get out of this book, and I'll tell you that there's been many different Hebrew resources that I've used, many different Sephardim, different books that I've gone through. Um, None of those books lay it out like this book does grammatically and walks you through it. So I appreciate this resource, and that's why this is the one I refer. and use for this class, for this Kitab. So so yeah, we'll get that link posted for you in the group. All right, so definitely so you can be able to try to purchase that. All right. Anybody else? And the bar. Anybody else got anything? All right. Well, you all have a good uh, Erev, good Lila, and a good Yom Shishi, good Yom Shabbat, and we will reconvene on Yom Rishon. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.